go right on ahead.
Perfect. Well, thanks everyone for having us. Like she said, my name is Chris Carante, and this is my sales manager, Matt McRoberts, and we are with Mountain America Credit Union. I'm sure you've worked with all sorts of lenders and brokers and things like that, but have you guys worked with MACU before?
Yes.
Closed a loan?
Yes, I have.
Do you remember what program they used?
Probably just conventional.
Conventional? Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
We do that.
We do
Yeah,
that.
I know.
We do all loans, but right now, this is kind of our focal point right now because we're the only one that has it right now. But we have other niche products that I'd like to mention later on in this meeting as well. So what I want to cover today is our MACU 100 first-time homebuyer program, 40 due in 15. So right now, as you're well aware, with the home prices being the way they are, a lot of people are qualifying but not qualifying enough funds to purchase whatever it is that they're looking for. So we came out with a program with a 40-year term due in 15. The 40-year, on an average, is increasing their qualified amount by about 30%. So it's getting them to that price point that they want, and it's still affordable. Now, it is designed not to keep the loan forever because at the end of the 15th year, there's a balloon that's due the entire principal balance. The main thing right now is to get them qualified for a purchase price that they want, but hopefully either in the next 1, 2, 3, 5 so year down the road, they'll refinance because it is not meant to be kept long term. Okay.
Well, how many people keep a loan for 15 years? It's very few.
Yeah.
And so, I would imagine that they're either going to sell and move or that they'll refinance, because rates improve. So it's definitely something that's normal.
Yeah. And a little bit more about this, it is for first-time home buyers. So, and by definition with us, a first-time home buyer is someone who's never owned a home in the last 3 years. Okay? And all applicants has to be first-time home buyers, no exception. Let's say if a borrower one's never owned a home and borrower two says well, for example, I was previously married, I owned a home with that relation, well, that one won't qualify. They both have to be first-time home buyers, okay? So they need a complete 1003 application. We require obviously the 2-year residence history and a complete 2-year employment history. And then minimum credit score on this is 660, okay? But the higher the credit score is, the better of a term they're gonna get. For example, on a 660, from 660, 679, will allow a back-end debt ratio of 43%. Okay, from a 680 to 699 will allow a back-end ratio of 45%. And then anything a 700 and above will go up to 48% on that. That's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Okay. They have to have a minimum. I know. I said 660. They just have to have a minimum of 2 credit score, and of the 2 credit score, they have to have at least, or a trade line of at least a minimum of a 12-month history, 0 times 30 in the past 12 months, and no more than 2 times 30 in the last 24 months. And unfortunately, no 0 times 60 in the past 24 months. Okay, and any non-medical collections are not allowed either. If there are anything over $1,000, they will need to be paid. Okay, but really that's the gist of the product. What questions do you have for me?
As far as, do you guys have a rescore program? So if somebody comes in and they're a little bit lower, is there something they can do and you can maybe rescore them?
So with that is, what we don't normally like to do rescores. The thing with rescores is we're basically pulling credit just until we get the desired score, which we normally don't like to do. Now, for at least with Mountain America Credit Union, our practices, we don't normally allow that. However, if there is, what we'd like to do is, if you foresee okay, this is what we need to do and what steps we need to take to get that to the hump of 660 or whatever scores that we need to get, we'd prefer that they do get those steps taken care of, but then reapply again and pull a whole new credit. Okay. That's really the best option, because it does come to where if the credit scores aren't there, we're just basically re-pulling credit just to get the desired credit score. Yes, it works sometimes, but in my experience, oftentimes it does the opposite. So me personally, I prefer, if that's what we need to do, let's close out that application, get with the bureaus, get that fixed, and reapply and pull new credit. It's worth the $43 every time, in my opinion. So,
And is there an income cap? Like, can you only make a certain amount of money to be able to qualify?
there is none. Unlike Utah housing, there is none.
Okay.
Does this run off like FHA guidelines, like, or is it, I mean.
Good question.
You guys kinda have some of your own in-house stuff,
Yeah.
Yep.
so how does that work?
So it's not off FHA guideline, it is just off, the standard Fannie Freddie guidelines.
Okay.
With a little bit of a tweak to it, because it is our loan. For example, it's a 40-year term. We don't use the standard AUS underwriting system, it is a manual underwrite. As long as it fits our parameters,
Okay.
we should normally will approve it,
Okay.
you know? Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So this, example that you've got here,
Yeah.
the rates on that
Mhm.
aren't current rates, are they? This is like an older print of this, or 4.6?
Yeah, so what are your current?
Okay, all right, so Vicky was asking about this out there, so I hesitate to answer this because of what's
Because
going
they
on.
change like every
They
hour.
change like every hour. So this conversation would have been completely different a week and a half ago.
Right.
The nice thing about this, because I did mention it's a 40-year term with a 15-year balloon. It is designed for the borrower to afford the home but not keep the loan. So our plan is to base it off a 15-year rate. So before the Fed made that announcement, we had really good rates because it was based off a 15-year rate. But with the fallout going on from that, continue on this week and maybe next week, 15-year rates right now are pretty much non-existent. And Matt, I double check on this so I don't get in trouble for saying this. We don't, right now, as of right now, we don't, but I'm optimistic that as things kind of settle down, 15-year rates will come back, but it's based off that. But for example, today, the interest rate on this is 6.875.
Today?
Today.
Okay.
A week and a half ago, they were low fives.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Then the Fed's made an announcement, market went wacko like that. So if things were to settle maybe in the next week or two or so forth, and then we start seeing 15-year rates again, even on conventional products, you'll see these rates get lower, even lower, and then you'll see them qualify for more.
Alright,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think there was.
And by the way, on the loan amount on this is, we'll go off 90% of the base loan limit. So obviously we're almost at tail end of the year, but in 2023, what is it? It's 715 for 2023.
That's what they're projecting.
Rejecting.
715 for the.
Yeah, so 90% of that. So in 2023, no, for the loan limit,
Oh,
The
loan.
conventional.
the
Okay.
conventional,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
the conforming loan limit projected in 2023 will be 715,000.
Okay.
So we'll go off 90% of that. Today, right now for 2022, it's 647.2. So we'll go off 90% of that, which is like 582.4, something like
Still
that.
get you into a decent
Yeah.
house.
So 582 for is the loan limit right now.
Yeah, 90% of the conforming loan limits right now. But then whenever they make that change in the 1st of January, even though they made the announcement of what they're anticipating it'll be 90% of that.
Okay.
So
Right.
just to kind of,
Okay.
and based on, yeah, Steve.
If you guys haven't worked with Mount America before, Chris and I have done a lot of business together since he's been assigned to the Tula territory. Some benefits to working with Mount America that I've just seen working with them. In-house underwriting, of course, is a huge benefit, right? They also, they have, what I like to call hybrid closing packages. So the borrowers have the option to receive the majority of their loan documents electronically, and they electronically execute them the day of closing. So when they get the closing table, the stack instead of this big is about this
Oh,
big.
nice.
So it
That's
makes
nice.
signing
Yeah.
really smooth,
Nice.
easy. It's a really nice process. If the borrowers aren't tech friendly, that they can take away that option at any time. That's not forced on them.
Mhm.
So those are some beautiful benefits of working with Mountain America. And then Chris has his own processor assigned to him, so it's really nice. You can get a hold of either one of them and get right down to solutions if you have any questions or
Yeah, thank you.
going on.
And
So-
so you're over Tooele then?
Yeah, I cover Tooele, Stansbury. I live in Draper, but I cover branches in Salt Lake too.
Okay.
So, but I'm out here weekly.
Colleen's not there anymore, I take it.
Nope, Colleen's
Colleen's downtown.
downtown.
So zero down payment.
Yes,
Does
zero
it
down.
change- Does it change at all if people do bring money to down payment?
You're not gonna get any like lower rates or anything like that. You can always put money down,
Mm-hmm.
but your rate's gonna be what your rate is.
Okay.
Thank you for mentioning, I forgot the big thing of this. This is a zero down, 100% financing, no mortgage insurance on these.
That's what I just saw. That's
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, there's no MI.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
we do require a minimum of $1,000 of their own funds committed into the transaction. What I always tell
Above and
everyone.
beyond
Could go into their
escrow?
prepaids, could go into.
Such as like
any
earnest
other
money,
closing
and then
Yeah,
that
they,
can
they
be
can use that
applied.
towards earnest money, the appraisal, but, I mean, they can use more, they can put down more, they can do whatever,
And
but a
then
minimum is 1,000.
Okay.
So in a case where, if say the sellers are not gonna pay for any of the closing costs, then they can put that $1,000 for their closing costs. I had one where, the sellers paid for everything. So all they literally had to do was $1,000, but because the seller paid for everything, that that the bars didn't have to come up with more than that. So
So your current rate's 6.8. If you had a seller who was willing to buy the rate down a point, do you work with that or no?
Where it's our portfolio,
Yeah.
we really,
Don't.
it's really like we're buying ourselves down, and so it doesn't make
Doesn't
sense, so
make
we really
sense.
don't buy down our portfolio.
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
we only have one rate, unfortunately, on that. So in today's it's 6.875.
And these can be used on new construction or any
Mhm.
type of home.
Yep, new construction, single family dwelling, townhome condos. Yeah.
So even though the rate's higher, since it's a 40-year,
Mhm.
like the payment's less anyways.
Yeah, because you've expanded that 30 year to the 40 years, so I've done the math, it's averaging about 30% more what they're qualifying.
And I sell a lot of new construction.
Yeah.
What about rate locks?
Rate lock, so it's a 55-day lock,
Okay.
so it's one of those where you have to plan carefully, so I look at it, every file is different. Depending where we're at and the realistic time to close, I will let you guys decide when you wanna lock it. So if I got a contract today, it's a standard purchase, everyone's ready to go, I'll give them the option, we can lock today, tomorrow, whenever you want. But if you don't think that the 55 days may not be enough, I highly recommend to wait till you're within that, because depending on the timing, it may be more expensive to let a rate lock expire and try to get an extension versus waiting that 2 or 3 or 5 days that you need. So I usually have that discussion up front, and I leave that up to you guys. You know, the one thing I do is I tell you what the rates are today, you know, so,
Okay.
yeah.
So I have a listing up in the benchmark, and they're hard to get financing for, like you can't go FHA. They're just really picky. Would this type of loan work for a condo?
What are the, what's
Yeah,
a condo? Is it warrantable?
You know, what's going on with it was,
I think it's because they had renters in there. They had so many renters at one time, and then they just never did.
Their HOA is not FHA
Yeah,
approved,
it's not
that's
FHA.
the problem, so
That's
they
the
can only go
problem.
conventional or,
Okay,
That one might be
this would be a
USDA.
conventional finance, but we will have to make sure that it is a warrantable condo. If it's non-warrantable, we will have an issue with that.
yeah, the big thing on those I've noticed is, on that one is the HOA, they have to have at least
Yeah.
10% reserves.
Yeah.
That's the
Right.
big hindrance. Obviously, the HOA can't be under a litigation or a lawsuit of any sort currently. The occupancy, I think I don't think it even matters anymore. It
So
used
is
to-
this
you know.
what makes it warrantable? Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, there's a big, huge list of questionnaire, and I used to have them memorized because I used to do a
Yeah.
lot of condos. But the big thing that always stood out for me was the occupancy.
Yeah.
You know, if there was too much renters in there, it almost doesn't make it warrantable.
Yeah.
And the big thing is the HOA, if the reserve requirements aren't met, which is just 10%, that usually kills the deal. And then the other thing that I notice is if the HOA makes the lender if a property were to go into foreclosure or did go into foreclosure, would that HOA go back to the lender or the new purchaser, pay for 0 to 6 months outstanding HOA dues, or 6 months to 12 months on up? So if it's 0 to 6 months, we're okay with it, but anything above with that, they're gonna make us pay for that, that'll make it unwarrantable.
Okay.
So those are the common pitfalls that I see on that question,
I'm
and it
gonna
doesn't,
ask those questions and just
yeah, that-
see, because
you know,
just.
That would be a good idea.
yeah.
Is there a way to get a list of those
Yeah, we-
requirements to Kim, and then she could run it through the HOA?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and then the
I
other,
think you can find them at HUD.gov. I sent you something.
Did you?
I did.
yeah, and the other question, again, I just have this memorized, is the delinquency. Like, I know there's a certain percentage of delinquencies on how many are currently past due.
Okay.
So there is a threshold on all those.
I think they'd help
but-
with that. And I think they've gotten rid of most of the rentals, I don't think they have a lot of rentals up there anymore, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you could send me that list, I'd appreciate it.
yeah, I could.
And I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, but the biggest thing is the HOA, a lot of it is the HOA. And, but if you can get past that, and then the other things, like I said, if the HOA will only make the new lender just pay between 0 to 6 months of any past due, fees, then we're good, but anything above that, it doesn't pass it. I always have to double check that, because a lot of people who fill those out doesn't understand that. They're like,
Yeah.
I think we make them over 12
Yeah.
months, and I'm like, if you do that, I check first to make sure you're answering that properly.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what do you guys think? I know we're getting this mainly by word of mouth. There's other loan officers in our team that are kind of doing something like this. We're not doing any major advertisement like you see other companies do. A lot of it is word of mouth from their contacts, agent, title companies, and things like that. You think something like this would be helpful, especially in a market like this?
Absolutely.
Very helpful, and what about us marketing it or co-marketing it?
You can definitely, share this with anybody you're working with. I know with co-marketing, because we are a credit union, they're extremely protective of the brand. And so I have yet to see co-marketing with anything Mountain America.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I come from the broker world, and so it's like, oh yeah, let's do everything. And it's like I've had to really kind of rein myself in a little bit with being at Mountain America. But they've been, the big thing that draws me to Mountain America is, not only a product like this, but the many other products that they have that are really unique. Have you guys worked with any of the other products that Mountain America has?
Because we now offer, we do ITIN loans.
What is that?
Oh,
Right.
those are really, I didn't know that.
For the Hispanic community who doesn't have social security numbers,
Oh,
and
wow.
they only have the ITIN numbers, will now allow that.
It's a 10% down.
The
and they can
10%
get in,
down, yeah.
And
Wow.
the rates are very good.
Very good.
It's called an
ITIN, it's the.
ITIN?
ITIN.
ITIN.
ITIN,
Yeah.
ITIN.
Individual tax identification number.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go
Great.
with that. And then something we offer that, only 2 other places that offers them, but only because we allow them to.
They use ours and the rates are way worse.
Way worse, is and this may hopefully come in handy down the road, is our investment loan program. We have a 10% down investment loan.
I was just gonna ask you if this would work as an investment.
And
so-
no mortgage insurance.
No mortgage insurance on that. And it's good for a single family dwelling.
Instead of 20% down?
Instead of 25% down.
25%.
10% down for single family dwelling, townhome condos, up to a 4-plex, no MI.
Wow.
So 10% down. So I
That one's also built on the same platform. It's a
Mhm.
30, due, and 15. So it's
30,
built
due,
on
and
that
15.
15-year
So
balloon.
30
is so
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only reason why we're not, I do get a lot of pushback from some borrowers who will say, well, I want a 30-year. The only reason why we have that 15-year balloon is the CFPB will not allow us as a credit union to do non-owner occupied homes for more than the terms of 15 years. So we tweaked our loans to give them that 30-year amortized payment, but down to 15-year balloon, so we allow it.
That one's been extremely popular. We also have we call it our Everyday Hero loan. So if you know anyone who's a first responder, police officer, firefighter, paramedic, also school teacher, not, unfortunately, not administration, but a teacher, they get it's a 30-year fixed loan for 0 down, 0 MI, and they can use it over and over and over. It's not first-time home buyer, they get it all the
All
time.
the time.
That's awesome.
Okay, that's great. And the teacher and the hero one are the same?
Yes, the teachers are included in the everyday
In the
hero.
everyday hero, okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
They are
That's
heroes
great.
in my
Oh,
opinion.
me
I couldn't
too.
do that job.
Me
They need a
And
raise.
and we can do pretty much, we can do everything that a broker can. 'Cause I know everyone has relationships with a loan officer. I'm not here to break that up. That is years of relationship you've built up. All I'm asking is, try me out on some that you can't do, especially on something like this, and we can close them just as fast, or sometimes even faster than your typical brokerage can. Because like Stevie said, we've got, our underwriting is in-house, we're all at that big MACU building, we're all in town basically, so. Our office is actually in West Jordan, but
And you'll
we're all
come out
local.
here to close?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Chris is out here weekly at the
At the
Tula and the
Tula.
Stansbury branches.
Stevie does all my closing, so.
gotcha, okay, great,
Awesome.
Yeah.
that's great.
Well, this is great info, you guys. I'm excited.
Will you pronounce your last name?
Karate.
Karante.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to say it, I always say Chris Q. Jenny A, Chris Q.
Vicky always has the heart. She says, I'm like, boy, right? Boy. Boy.
I simplify it a little bit, it should be Oja LeBlanc.
Oh,
But
yeah,
people
you
get all
said-
worked up about seeing.
Karate.
Karante. I'm gonna
Is
do
there
a
history behind the last name?
It's just the way it's spelled.
her
You might be a princess someone.
on.
Well, I'm married.
So
Alright.
Yeah.
But I'm, best way to contact me is feel free to call me anytime. I am on the phone a lot, so I don't know how people feel about, sometimes they get voicemails or what, but definitely I'm tethered to both my cell phone and my laptop. So email's really the fastest way to get me.
Okay.
So you
Because,
prefer email?
yeah, because once I'm quicker at responding to email than I would a phone call, because you never know where I'm at, and I can never always pick up the phone at times.
So how do you feel about, because I know all of us,
Mhm.
weekends, or sometimes we need to, at spur of the moment, we need to get somebody pre-qualified, or we have questions that come in on the weekends. Are you okay with us emailing you on a weekend?
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
contacting you on the
Okay, yeah.
weekend?
And I'll do everything I can. Obviously, if it's something that I can't get back to you because it's outside of normal
Right.
operating hours, it'll have to be by Monday. But anything that I can control within my desk and my office downstairs in my basement,
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to do that. Anything that you need, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
I know some people, and I try not to work Sundays, it doesn't always work, but I know a lot of people want their weekends, but sometimes things do come up where we have a question.
So I am a night owl. I do work during the day, but I also work a lot at night. So you'll see, like Stevie Joe will see emails from me at 1, 2, 3 in the morning.
Well, you might see some for me at 4. I've done that before too.
So
And you have a link too, you can share for them to
Mhm.
apply with you, right?
Yeah, so if you look at my business card, right down the bottom, so if you have a borrower that wants to apply right now, just have them type in that macu.com/Sucarante. And then it'll pop up, the MACU site, and the right page will be my picture. And right at the bottom, it'll have buttons apply now. You'll click on that and they'll start the process. Have them apply as a guest. Their username will always be their email address. They'll create a password. Then they'll put in all their information, and then once they've completed that, credit will automatically be pulled, by the way. And then after they complete that, they'll upload their docs, like IDs, pay stub, W-2s, things like that. And then usually while they're completing those steps, I'll get the notification once it's done that it's ready to be reviewed. Then I can go in and look at it, and if everything's there, I can do my workup and get them pre-qualified. Obviously, if they're not there, I'll reach out to the borrowers. It is common that they'll fill it out and maybe they didn't upload their docs and they're wondering if they're done or not, but I'll let them know if they could at least, upload an ID, a pay stub, a W-2, and just a basic, that's enough for me to get things started,
Okay.
One of the issues we've seen with this site is it is part of Mountain America's big website. And so if they pull up this page and they look at the top bar or they see anything else and they click on anything, they're no longer on Chris's page. And so if they hit, go back to mortgage and now apply, now it's coming into our general queue.
It just goes to
And it can
whoever.
go to anybody.
Okay.
So that's the big thing that I encourage everybody is do not click on anything other than
Mhm.
Chris's apply now button
Yeah.
once you get on that page.
Yeah, and that's why I encourage to if you have borrowers who already have a member of the credit union, they're gonna think, oh, I've got my username and password. That's completely different. That's why apply as a guest and not their normal MACU.com credentials. Apply, because if you apply as a guest, it'll be to that direct portal. So their username will always be their email address. Tell them to always just create a simple password that they can remember. And if they do, like Matt said, if they accidentally get out of that and don't know why, the link is secure.macu.com. That's the link. And it goes right back to that portal that they were in. And they can put in their username, which is their email address, and whatever password they created. Yeah.
One other question, are these 40-year terms a lot like your other loans that I closed for you where they're mostly serviced in-house?
Yes.
So that's another beautiful thing, guys.
Yep,
Mountain
all-
America,
yep.
all their loans are serviced within Mountain America, so that means for the borrower, their loan's not getting transferred.
Mhm.
Everything stays with MACU. They can pay online, it just shows up like another loan, like an auto loan in their account.
Oh, okay.
They can go in the branch.
Yeah, any
spend
portfolio
some.
loans that we keep. So that would be all of our first-time home buyer, our MACU 100, our MACU investment, our everyday hero loan, our, anything MACU, our lot loans, anything that's a portfolio we'll keep. And usually though, but if we do get to conventional, those are the ones that, depending on what the rate and what the borrower chooses, those are the ones that are prone to get sold. So, but.
You guys still let us make payments to you though, because I have my mortgage with you.
Mhm.
And I think somebody else services it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's-
But I still get to go on my account,
Mhm.
send my money to them, and it's all just taken care of
Yeah,
right there. It's
yeah.
nice, wonderful.
yeah, we
Do you
have-
have this saved in like a PDF format?
Which one?
This
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Chris has those.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
if I could get it in.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, I could do
I
that.
keep going to grab my phone. I forget, 'cause that's gonna, I've got it, I was gonna send it to you, but
Oh.
it's over there.
Yep, I do, I will send all
I'm
that.
so addicted to our phones, I keep going, oh, where is it? And then.
So any of our unique products, Chris can get you a copy of those in a PDF. I'm glad you brought up lot loans. I don't know if you guys ever have lots come for sale, but we also do incredibly good lot loans as well.
Yeah.
That's
and-
nice.
yeah,
Is that for just like new construction?
Nope, you can buy a lot. to
Just
have
to
a
buy
lot.
a lot.
Just a land loan?
Just a land
It
loan.
has to be a residential lot.
It
Okay.
has to be
It
residential.
has to be improved, so utilities have to be on the
Okay.
lot. But if somebody wants to buy it and sit on it for 5 years while they put their
Land
plans
with
together,
utilities,
yeah, it
okay.
has to be zoned correctly and it has to have utilities. If
Okay.
it meets those requirements and it's under 15 acres,
Mhm.
then
Utah
it's
only,
within
or
our guidelines.
Idaho and Arizona also?
Idaho, Arizona, our whole 10-state footprint.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anything in the west outside of
Nice.
California, we don't live in California.
So under how many acres?
15 is our guideline.
But basically, the question I asked is could I legally build a house on it today if I wanted to? So if it's a yes, that would mean that it is somewhat developed. There's year-round access to it. There is electrical stuff to it or somewhere near it. The water's either coming from a well or the city. Sewer's either a septic from the city. Just like basically, if you literally wanted to get a crew out here today and start building, of course, being permitted, you could. What we're trying to avoid is anything off-grid or anything private that we may not have any control of. That's the one that's kind of a deal killer. But that one we offer a 10-year fix or a 7-year balloon and 15% down on that with no MI.
And that 7-year balloon's amortized over
Yeah,
20.
over 20 years. Yep,
Yeah.
that's 7-year balloon. Yeah.
Another cool niche product, guys, if you haven't tried it, is a one-time close.
Yeah.
Construction one-time close, so it saves the buyer on closing costs. They close their construction loan and they roll it over, they convert it over to a 30-year term loan, and so they don't have to close on the construction loan and then re-close on the permanent financing. It's all
one shot.
Yeah, it's a true one-time close.
And
We-
Updwell,
Yep, we offer,
Upwell does the same thing.
they need you to do your own construction loan.
They do?
Yeah, they, Updwell.
The builders, that's
You do
interesting.
your.
Okay, we need to have a conversation after that, after this.
Problem we have with that is that
But-
then it puts the control in the hands of the buyer. The house isn't done yet, and so if the contractor wants to do something his way, it's already the buyer's house, and
It can be like.
there's argument, and that's why we won't do that.
They sure feel that.
but if you have a borrower, a client who's looking to build, like Steve said, we do offer a true one-time close. We close everything up front, we give them 18 months to complete the build. Once upon completed, we don't do anything else. We simply modify the loan amount that they've used into the whatever term that they signed up for. Normally it's a 30-year fixed term. And the beauty about this is we have a rate guarantee. So for example, today, it's like this is the perfect scenario. Today, someone wants to do a construction loan and the current construction rates are above 7% right now. We're gonna lock you in at 7%, give you 18 months to build. So let's say it does take them 18 months. Fast forward 18 months. Let's say in 18 months, the interest rates are 8-9%. Need not worry, you're locked in at that original 7%. But let's say it's the other way around. Let's say for some miracle, that rate's now back down to the 4s. I'm being hopeful here, right? Guess what they get? Modify that 4% rate to get the lower rate. So really, worst case scenario, they're gonna get whatever the lowest rate is then when they finish the home.
Can they
So-
do their own general on those ones, Chris?
Yes, we do contractor build and owner build, so they can, really the only difference is just the documentation, but we do allow for owner build and contractor build on those.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a true one-time close, we don't have to refinance when they're done, we just modify it. One of our big competitors is Zion's right now. They offer this, but it's not a one-time close. It's a two-time because they'll do the construction, but you gotta do the takeout. So I'm not a big fan of it unless you have every intention of selling that home that you're not gonna keep. I can see where that makes sense. But if you're building this for your own house, I'm not a fan of it because you're paying for the closing cost twice. You're doing the exact same thing twice over, and you're not even being guaranteed that rate, the lower rate at the end. So,
Okay.
Cool. Wow, a lot of good information.
we got it recorded though, so we gotta,
Yeah.
yeah.
But any of these flyers, we definitely can get to you.
Yeah.
And Chris is always available for any questions. He's very knowledgeable. He's been doing this a long time. So,
And I come here once or twice a week. I'm in that office. If not in that office, in the Stansbury Park. So,
Okay.
if like I said, if you need something or need to see me physically, just shoot me an email. And we'll set up a time or something like that. Or if any questions, just shoot me an email anytime.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Yep.
very helpful.
Yeah,
We need all the help we can get. right
Yeah,
now.
so do we. So do we.
Yeah.
Well, are there any other questions? Anything you want to add? Matt?
I was just gonna say, I brought some bagels,
Yes.
but you have to forgive me. I was running late and I didn't grab any knives. So,
We've got that.
okay, so I was hopeful, so forgive me if you didn't.
So I brought some swag over.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, enjoy that. I left my cards. I also left a stack of my cards there. Email me with any questions. I'll send you a PDF copy of this flyer. And then anything else you need, shoot me a follow-up email on that one. Regarding the condo questionnaire, I can get you the answers to that if you want, or most of them are, if you Google that, they're mostly available because that questionnaire is a standard Fannie Mae questionnaire, so it's not a MACU thing or any other lender thing. It's Fannie Mae. It's not us. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Okay.
Yay,
Thank
thank
you.
Okay, so
you.
thank you.